In this part of our Expert Guide to Journal Publishing, we look at ethical codes of conduct, standards and guidelines that you may need to consider. We will help you to find this information on a journal's website to be sure they are a legitimate publication and to learn what standards they will expect of your research. Publishing ethics is the term that refers to everything that happens after the research is complete, both the writing and submission of articles, and how the publisher conducts itself. Look around the journal's website for evidence of proactive ways in which the journal identifies and deals with ethical issues. This information is usually provided in a section under headings such as policies, ethics, resources for authors, or may be included in the instructions for authors. Publishers of multiple journals may standardize their ethical guidance information and provide details in a centralized place away from the individual journals. As a reader, this information will reassure you of the integrity of the research you are reading. As an author, this can inform you of procedures and protocols you should comply with when conducting research and when submitting. The Committee on Publication Ethics, commonly referred to as COPE, is the definitive body on publishing ethics, providing a forum for publishing professionals to develop guidelines and standards and help resolve ethical case studies. Many journals are members of this organisation and will display badges or statements from COPE on their websites. This should reassure you that the journal intends to conduct itself to a high standard, to give readers the information on how to report anything that appears suspicious in the journal, and give you, as an author, a means of complaint should you feel your paper has been unethically treated during review. COPE provides many resources for authors which you should familiarise yourself with if you are new to the submission process or have not visited their website before. Some of the key statements to look for in a journal's website include authorship and contributions, guidance on how to state who contributed to the research and in what capacity, data sharing and reporting guidelines, guidance and policies on making data available, encouraging the use of reporting guidelines, registration of clinical trials and other study designs, referring to standard practices in their discipline, clear definitions of what constitutes conflicts of interest and competing interests, and where authors should state this in the paper. The journal should also include a process for handling conflicts of interest of authors, reviewers, editors, journals, and the publisher. For intellectual property, the journal should make clear statements describing its copyright and publishing licensing, and make the content of the licenses available. The journal should define what it determines to be similarity and plagiarism in submitted articles. Plagiarism is commonly defined as the deliberate attempts by an author to use another's work as their own original work without permission or acknowledgement. Many journals use platforms such as Authenticate to help check submissions against existing publications for text similarity and suspected plagiarism. All costs associated with submitting and publishing should be made clear to authors and readers, from submission fees to open access fees, page charges, costs for colour printing, figures and any other charges. All peer review processes must be clearly described in detail and well managed. Ideally, journals should show evidence of the ways they provide training for editors and reviewers. The journal should also state its process for handling conflicts of interest, appeals, and disputes that may arise during peer review. A clearly described process for handling allegations that acknowledges different ways in which they can be brought to the journal's attention, how they are dealt with, and the journal's policies for presenting corrections, retractions, or other actions resulting from investigations. In addition, journals should also have a clearly described process for handling complaints against the journal, its staff, and editors. Research ethics apply to your activities during the research process and you and any co-authors during the analysis and writing of a paper. Journals are developing more thorough checks and developing sophisticated tools to look for issues relating to research subjects and environments. Checks here will ensure authors have all required ethical permissions, participant consent, or permits. Fraudulent data. Journals will be vigilant for data that has been manipulated or falsified in some way to create more attractive results. And image manipulation. where features within an image have been duplicated, erased, or distorted to falsely illustrate data points, trends, and details. Quality journals will take these issues very seriously and investigate appropriately. In our Predatory Journals section, we look at more details of unethical publisher behaviour that can help identify illegitimate and low-quality journals, but this video on ethics has shown that clear statements and convincing policies can form a vital part of your assessment of the suitability of a journal for submitting a paper to. For more ideas to help you identify journals and feel confident about submitting your paper, read through our full expert guide to journal publishing and watch the other videos in this series which look at why we publish in journals, aims and scope, instructions for authors, the peer review process, citation and alternative metrics, and predatory journals.